After years of being sheltered from the human world, the Turtle brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers. They soon get in over their heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them. Let's grab a slice and hit the sewers with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
How'd you feel about that ginger joke they made?
I was so offended. I pretty much just got up and walked out of the theater.
I always get a little nervous with Nickelodeon influence. Of course, this film is meant for kids, but sometimes it's like too much on the kid side, not enough on like any other age audience viewing this movie.
The comparisons between this and Into the Spider-Verse are kind of inevitable. Mutant Mayhem was almost begging to be relevant with all of the pop culture references and the way it showed the story and the humor and just kind of everything, whereas Spider-Verse demanded it was relevant. Like it didn't have any of those pop culture references. Put 50 years on them, we watch these 50 years later. Across the Spider-Verse is automatically going to be better because it doesn't have those references that are going to make it feel dated, and that's what took me out of TMNT.
Yeah, that's a totally fair point to be made. Consider this though, how many times did we hear cowabunga in this movie?
True.
Who's to say that we don't have another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle who's using the vernacular of that time to depict a story for that time? Does that make it a better piece of cinema though? You have a very good point there.
Yeah,
like
it feels stupid to get this in depth about a child's movie. I mean, that was the only thing I didn't like about this movie. And like the characters were awesome. There was some great action. The music was insane. Just the general vibe of the movie was dope.
I'm just gonna be honest here. I was not incredibly blown away with Seth Rogen's performance as Bebop.
I completely agree, and I felt that way during the Mario movie. I don't know if he has the voice for voice acting.
Like you would think it would work, but it just doesn't feel like that's what he wants to be doing. When you're out acted by John Cena, it's bad. It's not good.
I'm happy Seth Rogen is kind of part of the nerd community with like him writing and producing this, as well as producing Invincible and The Boys. He's sort of like cemented his name as part of this realm of entertainment as someone who's willing to do something worthwhile.
Him as a writer, him as a producer, got like an ability to put like the right people together.
One thing that I just loved was the soundtrack full of East Coast hip hop. My God. And like using New York as the setting and then using music that has come from New York, like Old Dirty Bastard or A Tribe Called Quest.
I agree. Like so many needle drops. They were all awesome. I think one of the most ingenious things they did was allowing their performers to record together. Seth Rogen, he was Pumbaa in the live action Lion King. Jon Favreau had him and Donald Glover, who does Simba, and Billy Eichner, who's Timon. They all recorded together. He loved it. He felt like it was a better performance and he got to feed off of them. And so seeing these four young teenage boys like hanging out in between takes, it was like the obvious decision was to put them in a booth together. Director Jeff Rowe says, I'm never going to record voice acting any other way ever again.
It totally does make sense, like, because part of acting is playing off of other actors, and there's definitely this certain chemistry that happens because of it. I hope that more animated movies do that because it feels just more of an organic movie because of it.
And also, could you just imagine being like one of those kids that's like having to like voice act to a pissed off Ice Cube? This marriage between 2D and 3D animation has been kind of like claimed by Spider-Man. You know what I mean? I was happy to see the way that it influenced how Mutant Mayhem looked, but I also was like seeing key ways that it was different. It took more of like a hyper realistic approach to like texture and lighting, and I really liked how that looked.
There was definitely some moments where like a shot of New York, it was like so beautifully rendered and the art was just amazing. What I didn't like was the very end design when Superfly turned into that crazy animal mutant thing. It just seemed a bit too messy for me to really see what was going on. But I mean, that's just like one character out of all of them. I really enjoyed all of the character designs. And when they go into that bowling alley, how it goes like blue and purple, like the lighting just shifts and it's so cool.
And that's what I mean by like hyper realistic. In that scene in particular, they've got the black lights of the bowling alley and the way that it changes the colors of like their face masks. That's insane to me.
yeah, it was very fun to look at.
Yeah, man. It's been a while since haven't seen, eye to eye on a film, bro.
I know it's interesting, but I think it's good. And I just, as far as TMNT goes, I don't think it'll stand the test of time. I feel like the animation was great, the voice acting was really fun. It was a very fun movie to watch, but I don't think it's gonna stand the test of time.
No, that's totally fair. Very valid point. I don't feel like it needs to stand the test of time. It just needs to stand the test of right now. And I think it does that really, really well. And in another 50 years, there'll probably be 12 other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because this IP ain't going nowhere. Turtles in a half shell.